Once I asked a man who just left a large investment bank, and I said, how does your firm make its money? He said, off the top, off the bottom, off both sides, and in the middle.
Wall Street will sell what it can sell. Just remember that. Supposedly sophisticated people, generally richer people, hire consultants, and no consultant in the world is going to tell you just buy an S&P index fund and sit for the next 50 years. You don't get to be a consultant that way. And you certainly don't get an annual fee that way. So the consultant's got every motivation in the world to tell you, this year I think we should concentrate more on international stocks, or this year this manager's particularly good on the short side. And so they come in and they talk for hours, and you pay them a large fee, and they always suggest something other than just sitting on your rear end and participating in American business without cost. And then those consultants, after they get their fees, they in turn recommend to you other people who charge fees, which, as you can see over a period of time, cumulatively eat up capital like crazy. So I would suggest that what I felt sure, I didn't feel sure because nothing, can't tell for sure about any 10-year period, but I certainly felt very probable, or I wouldn't have stuck my neck out. It just demonstrates so dramatically. I've talked to huge pension funds, and I've taken them through the math, and when I leave, they go out and hire a bunch of consultants and pay them a lot of money. And it's just unbelievable. And the consultants always change the recommendations a little bit from year to year. They can't change them 100% because then it didn't look like they knew what they were doing the year before. So they tweak them from year to year, and they come in and they have lots of charts and PowerPoint presentations, and they recommend people who in turn are going to charge them a lot of money, and they say, well, you can only get the best talent by paying 2 and 20 or something of the sort. And the flow of money from the hyperactive to what I call the helpers is dramatic, while this group over here sits here and absolutely gets the record of American industry. So I hope you'll realize that for the population as a whole, American business has done wonderfully, and the net result of hiring professional management, is a huge minus. And at the bookstore, we have a little book called Where Are the Customer's Yachts, written by Fred Schwed. I read it when I was about 10 years old. Been updated it hadn't been updated, but new editions have been put out a few times, but the basic lessons are there. That lesson is told in that book from 1940. It's so obvious, and yet all the commercial push is behind telling you that you've got to think about doing something today that's different than you did yesterday. You don't have to do that. You just have to sit back and let American industry do its job for you. Charlie, do you have anything to add to my sermon?
Well, you're talking to a bunch of people who have solved their problem by buying Berkshire Hathaway. That worked even better. And there have been a few of these managers
Sure.
who've actually succeeded. There are a few in the universities who are really good, but it's a tiny group of people. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack.
And when I was given the job of naming two in 1969, I knew two. I knew a couple of others. Charlie wasn't interested in managing more money then, and my friend Walter Schloss would not scale up well, although he had a fabulous record over 45 years or thereabouts. But that was all I could come up with at that time, and fortunately, I did have a couple, and the people who went with Sequoia Fund have been well served if they stayed for the whole period. But the people, there's been far, far, far more money made by people in Wall Street through salesmanship abilities than through investment abilities. There are a few people out there that are going to have an outstanding investment record, but there are very few of them, and the people you pay to have identify them don't know how to identify them, and they do know how to sell you, and that's my message.
Of course, there's going to be more regrettable behavior than you might find in a monastery, or at least than we thought we might find in monasteries before we understood them better. And And so, of course, Wall Street is going to have more regrettable behavior. And Lord Acton had this law that you all taught that power corrupts and absolute power tends to corrupt absolutely. Well, the Munger version of that is that easy money corrupts and really easy money tends to corrupt absolutely. And I don't think it was good for Wall Street that they had this absolute torrent of really easy money when idiots and knaves were making a fortune selling shoddy mortgages with ridiculous theories. And it was very regrettable behavior. And it was the easy money that allowed it. And of course, the adults who could have fixed it, like the accountants who had ridiculous standards without which a lot of the bad behavior wouldn't have worked. The accountants utterly failed us. And by the way, there's practically no sign of any intelligent reversal of that failure of that profession. I have yet to meet many accountants who are the least bit ashamed for their contribution to our recent troubles, but it was immense.